They called them outlaws, not because they broke the law, but because they broke Nashville.
I hear the train coming, it's rolling around the bend.
These were men and women who looked the industry dead in the eye, grabbed their guitar and said, "Not your way, not anymore." And the music they left behind is still shaking walls today.
Take the ribbon from my hair.
Welcome to Old Trails Archive, where the real stories live. And what you are about to hear are 10 outlaw country songs with histories so raw, so permanently burned into American soil, that once you know them, you will never hear the music the same way again. Number 10, Jerry Jeff Walker, Mr. Bojangles, 1968.
I knew a man, Bojangles, and he'd dance for you.
In the summer of 1965, a young drifter named Ronald Clyde Crosby, who the world would later know as Jerry Jeff Walker, got himself arrested in New Orleans. He ended up in a holding cell in the French Quarter, and in that cell, he met an old homeless man who was going by the name Mr. Bojangles, hiding his real identity from the police who had swept the streets after a nearby murder.
Mr. Bojangles.
The old man started talking. He talked about 15 years of dancing at county fairs and minstrel shows, about a dog he loved that had died. And when the mood in that cell got heavy, somebody said, "Give us a dance." And without any hesitation at all, that old man stood up and danced, right there in a jail cell.
Let go, lad.
Walker never forgot him. Years later, he sat down with a yellow legal pad and wrote the song in one sitting. It was 5.5 minutes long, about an old drunk and a dead dog, and nobody in the music industry wanted it. Too long, too sad, too strange for radio.
Mr. Bojangles.
Then the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band covered it. Then Sammy Davis Jr. made it his signature. Then Bob Dylan recorded it quietly for himself. Then Nina Simone. Then Neil Diamond. Then Whitney Houston. A song written from a jail cell memory became one of the most covered songs in American music. Jerry Jeff Walker died in October 2020. Neither of them ever saw that coming. Number 9, Sammy Smith, Help Me Make It Through the Night, 1971. Sammy Smith dropped out of school at 11 years old and started singing in nightclubs because it was the only thing that made sense to her. She was discovered in an Oklahoma City bar in 1967 by Johnny Cash's bassist, who got her signed to a label. She spent the next few years recording songs that went nowhere.
Come and lay down.
Then Chris Christopherson, who at the time was mopping floors at Columbia Records in Nashville while trying to get anyone to listen to his songs, handed her Help Me Make It Through the Night. It was a song about a one-night stand, told honestly from the woman's point of view. Most of Nashville passed on it. Some radio stations in rural America refused to play it. Some churches called Sammy Smith names she didn't deserve.
Against your skin.
She changed one word in Christopherson's original lyric, just one. Your hair became my hair, and in doing that, she made the woman in the song the one in control of the moment. It went to number 1 on the country charts and number 8 on the pop charts. It sold over 2 million copies. It won her a Grammy.
By my side.
Waylon Jennings called her Girl Hero. She drove a gold Mercedes with a .38 pistol on the seat beside her and played honky tonks all across America.
And it's sad.
She died in 2005. The song still sounds like somebody finally saying the thing they'd been holding in for years. Number 8, Waylon Jennings, Luckenbach, Texas, 1977.
Guitars are tuned good and firm, feeling women.
Here is something most people don't know. Waylon Jennings genuinely did not like this song. His producer basically pressured him into recording it by threatening to give it to someone else. What bothered Waylon most was that the lyrics asked him to sing his own name out loud in the chorus. It felt wrong to him, too much like showing off.
Time we got back to the basics and love.
Willie Nelson happened to walk in that day and ended up on the background vocals. Neither man had ever been to Luckenbach, Texas when they made that record. It went to #1 for 4 weeks. Fans started showing up to Luckenbach in such numbers that they stole the fire plug off the street. The state liquor board had to get involved. Fences went up and people called them Waylon's Wall. Waylon Jennings did not actually visit Luckenbach, Texas until July 4th, 1997. 20 years after the song put it on the map. He made an entire town famous and then stayed away from it for 2 decades. Make of that what you will. #7, David Allan Coe, You Never Even Called Me By My Name, 1975. Before David Allan Coe had a record deal, he was busking outside the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville with a handwritten sign that said, "Starving Artist." He was not trying to be funny. He had nowhere to sleep. The song was written by Steve Goodman and John Prine, 2 folk writers from Chicago who set out to deliberately write the most cliched country song ever put on paper. When Goodman played it for Coe, Coe listened to the whole thing and then told him, "You're missing something. There's no mama, no trains, no trucks, no prison, no getting drunk. If you want the perfect country and western song, all of those things need to be in there."
Even called me by my name.
Goodman went away and wrote one more verse that crammed every single one of those elements into 4 lines. Coe recorded it. And in the spoken outro on the record, he says, "I think I've finally written the perfect country and western song." And the room laughs. Because everyone listening knows he's right.
Call me darling, darling.
It was Coe's first top 10 hit. David Allan Coe died on April 29, 2026, at 86 years old. Willie Nelson's tribute was 4 words: quiet and completely earned. #6, Merle Haggard, Mama Tried, 1968.
Tubular dust in a farm boy's nose.
Merle Haggard was born in a converted railroad boxcar near Bakersfield, California in 1937. His father died when he was 9. He hopped freight trains at 13. By his early 20s, a botched burglary attempt had landed him at San Quentin State Prison, and it was there in that yard that he stood and watched Johnny Cash perform for the inmates. Something changed in him that day. He got out, picked up a guitar, started playing honky tonks in Bakersfield. And in 1968, he wrote Mama Tried on the bottom bunk of a tour bus, almost in one breath. The song's narrator is serving life without parole. Haggard was always clear that wasn't literally his story, but everything else in it was real. The freight trains, the church pew on Sunday morning, the mother who never stopped trying. He told her once that he wanted to buy her a Lincoln Continental with his first big royalty check. She told him to get a Dodge Dart instead. She said the ladies at church would make fun of her for a Lincoln.
First thing I remember.
The song hit #1 and stayed there for 4 weeks. The Grateful Dead covered it over 300 times. It was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1999. The Library of Congress preserved it in 2016, 14 days before Haggard died. #5, Kris Kristofferson, Sunday. #4, Willie Nelson, Whiskey River, 1973. Before the long braids and the battered guitar and the farm-aid concerts and all of it, Willie Nelson seriously considered quitting music and raising pigs on a farm in Texas. He is not joking when he tells that story. He bought the farm. He tried the pigs. It did not work out. He moved back to Texas in 1971 and signed with Atlantic Records. And in 1973, he recorded Shotgun Willie, an album that was essentially saying, in the most polite way possible, that he was done making music the way Nashville wanted him to make it. The album opened with Whiskey River, a song written by his old friend Johnny Bush. Around the time Bush's own recording of the song was charting, he started losing his voice. It took years to figure out why, a rare neurological condition that affects one person in about 35,000. His producers said later that without that, Bush would have become one of the biggest names in country music. The royalties from Willie's version helped keep Bush going through the years his voice wouldn't cooperate. Willie Nelson has opened almost every concert he has played since 1974 with that song. It was the very first song performed on the very first episode of Austin City Limits. He turns 93 this year, and he has not stopped. Only 3 left, and they hit the hardest. If this countdown is moving you, hit that like, subscribe to Old Trails Archive, and share this with somebody who needs to hear these stories. Let's finish this out. Number 3, Waylon Jennings, Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way, 1975.
Where do we take it from here? Rhinestone.
Waylon wrote this on the back of an envelope while riding in a van to the recording session. Someone in the van said something about Nashville, and the phrase just came loose. Are you sure Hank done it this way? And he wrote the whole song before they pulled into the parking lot.
At the backside of me, singing my...
Rolling Stone later called it the closest thing outlaw country ever had to an official statement of purpose. It hit number 1 and set the stage for Wanted, The Outlaws, in 1976, the first country album in history to sell over 1 million copies.
Shiny car, it's been the same way for you.
But there is something that sits underneath every song Waylon Jennings ever made. In February 1959, he was Buddy Holly's bass player on the Winter Dance Party tour. He gave his seat on the airplane that night to J.P. Richardson, the Big Bopper, who had a cold and was tired of the bus. Holly, Valens, and Richardson died in that crash. Waylon Jennings lived with that for the rest of his life. He spent 40 years making music about freedom and about not bending to other people's rules. His headstone sits flush with the ground in Arizona, not Nashville, because he asked for it that way. Number 2, Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison Blues, 1955/1968.
And I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when.
Cash wrote this in 1953 while he was stationed with the Air Force in West Germany. He had watched a prison film in a military theater, and something in it stayed with him. The loneliness of it, the weight of it. He sat down and wrote the song. When he recorded it at Sun Studio in Memphis in 1955, there was no money for a proper drummer. So Cash slipped what is believed to have been a dollar bill under his guitar strings and strummed the snare rhythm himself.
My mama told me, son, always be a good boy.
The real moment came in January 1968. Cash convinced a very skeptical Columbia Records to let him record a live album inside Folsom Prison. 1,200 inmates sat in folding chairs. He walked out and opened with Folsom Prison Blues, and when he got to the line about shooting a man in Reno just to watch him die, the room erupted, not politely. The way a room erupts when it hears something it has always felt but never heard anyone say out loud.
And Antone, when I was just a baby.
The album went to number 1. Cash won the Grammy, then Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated a few months later, and radio stations pulled the song over the Shot a Man in Reno lyric. Columbia re-released it with that line removed. Cash was not happy about it. The censored version went to number 1 anyway.
I bet there's rich folk.
He performed in over 30 prisons in his lifetime. He testified before the U.S. Senate on prison reform in 1972. He was arrested 7 times in his life. The most serious charge on his record was trespassing, to pick flowers. Number 1, Waylon Jennings, Honky Tonk Heroes, 1973. Before any of it, before the Platinum Records and the Outlaw label and the leather vests and all the mythology, There was a songwriter named Billy Joe Shaver standing outside Waylon Jennings' door for 3 straight days trying to get a meeting.
Seemed like it's just the other day.
Shaver had lost 2 fingers in a sawmill accident when he was young. He had worked as a roughneck and a cotton picker and a rodeo cowboy. He had a way with words that Nashville genuinely did not know what to do with. His songs were too honest, too uncomfortable, too unwilling to dress themselves up for Music Row. When Waylon finally let him in, Shaver sat down and played every song he had written, every single one.
Tables and generally below and all my heart.
And Waylon did something that had never happened in Nashville before. He handed an unknown songwriter creative control of an entire album. 9 of the 10 tracks on Honky Tonk Heroes were Billy Joe Shaver's songs. The record was stripped down and raw in a way Nashville had never really allowed. It laid the foundation for everything that came after it in outlaw country.
Where do it go? The good Lord only knows.
Shaver buried his son Eddie in 2000, a musician who died of a heroin overdose. He shot a man at a bar in Waco in 2007, said it was self-defense, and a jury agreed. He died in October 2020, the same month as Jerry Jeff Walker. 2 men who helped build something real, gone in the same few weeks. But every artist today who talks about making honest music, music that isn't dressed up or focus grouped or built for someone else's approval, they are reaching back without knowing it to a room where Waylon Jennings listened to a man with 9 fingers play everything he had, and then said yes.